Hi, I'm Bob Sweeney, Station Manager at the City of Juneau Cable Channel 991, here with our 6th episode of the Juneau Garden. I went around oh, by the way, today is June 15th, Thursday, June 15th, and I went around today with my bicycle and I took some pictures of some of the flower gardens around town. And that's what we'll take a look at now. I hope you enjoy them. Okay, now let's take a look at what's been happening with my gardens since the last episode. If you watched episode 5, you know I planted some Canis bulbs. This is the flower bed on the back side of my shed near my house. As you can see, they're coming up pretty well. And intermixed with all the Canis are the milkweed plants that I let grow for the monarch butterflies. So this is garden number 1 that I planted the Canis. And here we have the Canis plants that are growing in a small bed near County Highway W. I guess you could call this part of my front yard. Here is a third bed with Canis plants. Find those over on the left and way in the back there. I have some other perennials here coming up. I don't know what they are, but I planted them last year. I see a number of them coming up here. I'll probably have to thin them out a little more. Look a little bit too thick to me yet. Again, that's kind of near Highway W. And like usual, the asparagus are coming really well. This is a virgin variety called Jersey Night. And I will need to pick these again today. Actually, I can pick some every day to get the right size. I think I have 18 plants down here. And here's my strawberry bed. I've picked once this year, and I need to pick today. There's going to be a lot of them in here today. Really disappointed with my first picking. They were small and not very sweet. Let's see if I can't get some close-ups of some of them now. Well, here's one that is a little bit bigger than the rest that I got last time I picked. It's got a ways to go before it's ripe. Got some here, down in here. And like this, of course, all along the flower bed. I'm sorry, the strawberry bed. There's going to be a lot of them this picking. Those of you who live in the Juneau area know we've had some storms come through. And yesterday, one got part of an oak tree found on the corner of my property to the southeast. You're going to see some of the effects of the wind in the vegetable garden as well. These are the Canis that I planted down by my vegetable garden. You can see I've got quite a few weeds in here, which is kind of disappointing for this video. But wife and I were gone for a number of days last week, and I wasn't able to get at this garden before the video. But they're coming nicely. I have a tomato plant here that broke off and is coming back nicely now. These are early girls. Here's a bell pepper. You can see how these plants, these tomato plants, have been beat up by the wind. See, it came pretty strong from the south. I have 6 early girls down here in this lower part of the lower garden. You can see the wind kind of beat them up quite a bit. These are my pickling cucumbers. They've grown very rapidly lately. They like that heat and moisture they're getting. And up here we have some pumpkins, and we have little pumpkins on. I noticed one today was drying up, but I saw another one that was looking pretty good. And again, these vines have been getting beat up by the wind, but they've been growing very rapidly. The watermelon are starting to respond. They took a while to get going, but now it seems like they're going to be doing all right. Up here is I think it's a Big Bertha green bell pepper I had in a pot last year, and I planted the pot in the ground down here in the garden. I dug the pot out and kept it in the house all winter long. And a while back I took it out of the pot and planted it down here, but it is not doing well. So one of those things you experiment with and see what happens. And right now it doesn't look like a very successful experiment. And here we have our muskmelon. They aren't doing really well. Getting kind of beat up. The leaves are all dirty now from the rain. But I think if you get a little bit better weather, they'll start to respond better. Down near the tomatoes and potato plants, we have the slicing cucumbers. They were really slow. I really had a hard time getting them to grow. But now they've responded very well. I mentioned some potatoes. So we had some potatoes for eating down in the basement and didn't get them eaten up real quickly. So I planted a few small eyes, and they've now come up out of the ground. When I first planted the squash in the cold frame, they did not germinate. And I was able to get some more seed from a master gardener and replanted them in the cold frame and got them going. So now we've finally got squash growing down here. I had forgotten to plant zucchini earlier. So just a little while ago I planted some down here in the garden, and they quickly germinated and grew up, of course, because the weather was much nicer, much warmer. So I've got 2 zucchini plants down here. And here is one of my bell peppers. I had to buy these at Fleet Farm as plants because mine wouldn't germinate in the cold frame. The seeds, it must have been old seeds. I think I have 6 of them down here. And you can see the effects of the wind on the corn. It's really got it bent over here until the wind has blown from the south. My first planting, of course, is the taller one, and my second planting is coming very nicely here. Of course, you plant these when it's a little warmer out. You get plenty of rain, so it's coming nicely now. And here we have my wildflower garden. In the foreground we have lots of milkweed for the butterflies. Behind them are goldenrod. The irises are done. We have some flowers that are getting ready to bloom out here. They look like they're going to be okay. And I did plant quite a few cannas up here on the east side of the wildflower bed. And they're coming. Here's some wildflowers in bloom. Don't have a clue what they are. And some more right next to the vegetable garden. Had to put a fence around the garden because of the rabbits. And this is the hugelkultur bed that I have my Roma tomatoes planted in. And on this end I have an heirloom cantaloupe, really coming slowly. I think it's sending me a message that it's not getting enough sunlight. Most of the morning it's shaded by a large maple tree. This is the bed right next to the hugelkultur bed, just downhill from it a little bit. And these are some volunteer cantaloupe that are growing. When I was weeding, I found them and I just left them in there and see how they would grow. I'm not sure what this plant is, but that's also a volunteer. Like, I must have dropped some seed. Just let it go, see what comes up. Next to it on the bed itself, we have green beans. In the middle, we have German giant radishes. And on the other side, we have the beets. And on this end, we have kohlrabi. The ones on the left here, on this side, I planted in the cold frame and planted them as plants. And right next to them, these are seeds that were directly planted, directly sown. If you watch earlier programs, you know that I planted onions in an old decayed straw bale that I put compost on that I got from the city site. So they're coming. I also planted some seed in here. It was dill seed, but I don't see them coming yet. I have a small bed of broccoli on the left and I have lettuce on the right. You can see I dug a couple holes in here. There were two small oak trees growing in there. The squirrel had buried a couple of acorns, so I dug those out yesterday and I'm planting them down by my trees, my lower land. The third one was dug out here in this bed next to my beets. There's green beans, and then between those I planted some dill seed, but it has not come yet. And I have one small pepper plant down here. It's supposed to be a hotter variety without being too terribly hot. Got that coming here. And I've got one other plant like that. And it's way down at this other end, right here. And the bed just downhill a little bit from onions, we have two cabbage. And I have some more cabbage over here by the beans. The far side of this garden are my carrots. I had radishes growing in there with them, but they've matured. We pulled them out. And now it's essentially all carrots, and they're coming nicely now. On the left, we have edible pod sugar snap style peas. I need to plant more of those. I really like raw peas. I don't have very many in here. In the middle row are turnips. They are really growing well now. And spinach on the right. I have some planters or tubs here that some trees came in that I bought many years ago. And I've got some German giant radishes growing in here, but I see only half of them germinated. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that we were gone. I wasn't able to keep it wet enough. Supposed to be kohlrabi in here, but none of them have germinated. We were gone, I wasn't able to water. And over here is supposed to be dill. And I see we have one tiny dill coming up. I have some dill growing as volunteers down by the corn where I had it planted last year. So hopefully we'll have enough dill eventually. We have 3 apple trees. This is the one farthest to the west in my property. And it's a variety called Freedom. And it's the earliest of my 3 trees. Thankfully, all 3 of our trees do not come in at the same time. This one is the first one to mature. Right next to it, or down to the east a little bit, is my Macintosh tree. It also has a lot of apples on it. And the third one down here is a form of Jonathan called Jonafree. And that one is just thick with apples. And these are the Jonafrees. One year they were so heavy and I didn't get them thinned out and broke branches off, but I've got it designed now so that it's filling in with some other branches. But I'm going to have to get in here and thin these out again this year. This is a real late apple. I don't even pick these until after it freezes. You know, before then it's really a lot more tart than I really like. But they do make good applesauce. Well, we look at that. There's 2 peaches there. Looks like we have 4 of them here. 2 of them down here. 2 up here. 2 more down here. Wow, that's interesting. Peaches. Hopefully they ripen. This is a plum tree that I planted last year out of a pot from Fleet Farm. You can see the wind has got it bent over to the east. To see if I can't straighten that out. Well, I hope you enjoyed the few flower beds that we saw around Juneau. We can probably get some more later. And your little trip around my gardens and my property here on County W. Stay tuned for another episode in about 2 or 3 weeks.